Welcome to Push to Pass podcast with JP Murray, a discussion about business, racing, sports, and life. This podcast delivers insights on what makes businesses, teams, and people successful based on real-life business experiences. Following a career with America's largest associations, JP Murray founded the Murray Company, one of Washington, D.C.'s most successful consulting firms. The company was acquired successfully and enabled him to launch JP Murray Racing, a business development and sponsorship agency for auto racing teams. Here is JP.
Hello there. Welcome to episode 115 of the Push to Pass podcast. We're exploring the intersection of motorsports, business, sales, a little bit of leadership. I'm your host, JP Murray. And today we're diving into a topic that is challenging, but it was exciting. About 3 years ago, I sold my company in Washington, D.C., began to dive into making my first outreach to prospective racing sponsors, using a lot of the same tactics that I use in business development in the association and the Washington, D.C. influence space. And you can read about some of that tactical stuff in previous episodes and listen to that and also see it on my LinkedIn content. So let me talk about the journey of making my first calls to potential sponsors. I uncovered some insights that reshaped my approach, but may help you on your own journey. These main ideas are still things that I follow today or I think about. Number one, direct access was pretty easy in the motorsports world. I've found the path to decision makers is surprisingly direct. Compared to the Washington, D.C. association community, I was able to get to C-suite folks pretty easily. In Washington, D.C., there's a lot of hierarchy, administrative assistants to navigate. Not that that's a bad thing, but you just need to be aware of it and how to deal with that. Unlike many industries where there are gatekeepers to block your way in racing, the pitch often lands straight in front of someone who can make the decision. So when that happens, it's really important to be ready. Somebody's going to take the call and you're going to be going, the first couple times I was scared. I was shocked when somebody picked up the phone. So I had to be very diligent about developing talking points, having the overview to get that first full presentation meeting and be ready for that. So the key is you're going to be able to get to people. So be prepared, professional, ready to make the most when that phone call or that email is responded to, or you get that access to the decision maker. The next thing, I found that I had to break through legacy perceptions. Now, this is where things get a little bit tricky. The perception of motorsports itself can be good or frankly poor in some organizations. Many companies see racing through a lens that was shaped by past experiences or stereotypes. Some think it's glamorous or an ego-driven marketing play by the CEO who just likes racing, but not really effective, while others may see it as really kind of a niche sport or with limited reach. My observation is the best way to overcome this is to ensure that you have some detailed demographics and really put a lot of emphasis on the reach and the sponsorship goals that they're going to achieve through racing or any sport as a delivery mechanism. If you have a racing fan, well, that's icing on the cake, but your job is to develop sponsorships where you're just not selling the team or the event, but the audience that you're going to reach and how you're going to maximize that. And motorsports is just the backdrop. That's where the business opportunity occurs. This isn't just a logo that's moving 230 miles an hour. The next observation is early prospects and connections did not see the value of event presence and direct sales opportunities. Most of these marketers were accustomed to trade shows, people walking by a booth, an ad in a trade publications. These legacy investments were something that they're comfortable with and they're willing to do over and over again, even if the performance of those opportunities were in decline. I had to paint the picture that racing events were not about just brand exposure and getting on television, they're a chance for your salespeople to directly engage with potential clients. The environment, energy, the excitement, sound, speed, smell, as well as the personal interactions at that event are all a part of building relationships that are memorable. Good salespeople, I'm telling you, will crush it with this business development opportunity at a race, and using that as the backup or the facilitator of the personal interaction. A company I spoke with last week took 30 companies to the Indy 500, and they closed 16 of them within the year. So it's different, and your prospects need to hear those stories from you. The next observation I found was you really have an opportunity with emerging brands. One group that really stood out for me were new companies. These organizations aren't tied down by legacy marketing that we talked about earlier. They're open to new ideas, creative activations, innovative platforms, things that they haven't done before. They're more receptive because it takes time for them to break out of the pack when they're playing the game like everybody else in their vertical. So watch how growing industry embrace motorsports early. For example, energy drinks did this. They tapped into racing early. Cryptocurrency moved into racing early on. I think at one point, most of the Formula One grid had a cryptocurrency sponsor, and many of them still do. So if you're looking for a great kind of blue ocean to get into, start reaching out to newer organizations or new industries. They can be more receptive to the change of the industry dynamic quickly that racing can provide. And believe me, there were no other Washington, D.C. consulting firms on a race car. And I did it, and we leveraged the heck out of it. It made us different than everyone else. So look for those emerging brands like that. The next thing I want to mention is the power of building relationships and how it's really important when you're making that initial outreach to prove to that prospect that you're not going anywhere. Early days of selling, you're going to get a lot of rejections. Recognize this is part of the process, but embrace persistence and relationship building. Most teams are just there to pitch a sponsorship, and that's it. They move on to the next. They fail to nurture the connection. So here's my view. Have a mindset that they are always a client. They're not just paying you yet. Avoid being defensive about the rejection you're going to get, but start to invest in the prospect relationship. Provide them updates about your successes and what you're seeing out in the field. Congratulate them on corporate achievements. Congratulate them for what they're doing. The prospect will begin to see that you are sincere. You want to build a relationship. You're invested in their success, and next time they are going to listen just a little bit more. I engaged a new sponsor for 18 months. Just staying close, not selling them. That company is now on the car for the first time in years after wasting money, in their view, on racing and motorsports before. And we're going to crush it for them. What's the takeaway from all these new calls? Well, motorsport sponsorship success isn't about having the flashiest pitch deck or maybe even the best race team. What it's about is challenging some assumptions that the prospect may have, think creatively about how to help grow their business, and buy into the long game of fostering relationships that go way beyond the checkered flag, okay? I hope this content was helpful to you. I'm so grateful that you've listened to the Push to Pass podcast in 2024. And folks, it's already going to be a better 2025. And I look forward to going on that journey with you. Can't wait to speak in the new year on the Push to Pass podcast with JP Murray. See you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Push to Pass podcast with JP Murray, a discussion about business, racing, sports, and life. If you would like to sponsor Push to Pass, send an email to jp@jpmurray.com. Follow JP on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. His website is jpmurray.com. Until next time, push yourself to pass the competition. Thanks for listening.